Muchas gracias.
Mi pregunta es en español. Ya mencionaron algo, pero me gustaría profundizar. Hay una escena que me impactó y me recordó mi infancia con el Rey León, con Simba y Mufasa, cuando se pierde. ¿Hay alguna inspiración en esa escena? Y finalmente, ¿por qué los humanos somos las mascotas y no al revés?
Okay, two questions in one.
Yeah.
The first one is, it's been mentioned somehow,
Yeah.
but I want to delve into it.
Yeah.
It has to do, and it reminisces my childhood.
Yeah.
And it has to do with this scene that kind of is similar a little bit to the Lion
Yeah.
King. I want to know if there was any inspiration in that. That's
Yeah.
the first part of the question.
Sure.
And the other one, y la segunda parte era,
¿Por qué somos mascotas?
and why are the humans in this film actually the pets?
Yeah. The Lion King wasn't something that we were trying to copy at all, but there were a lot of movies that I was looking at for the boy and dog aspect. The Lion King is great for the coming of age, that he's going to be the king, which I really loved about that movie, but trying to find more of a story, because Arlo doesn't become a king at all like that, he's just moving to that next layer. So we looked at a lot of movies like that, like E.T.
No, la parte en donde muere.
When he dies.
No, but that's what I mean. Like in the boy and dog story, like E.T., like in Black Stallion. What's the Black Stallion in Spanish?
¿Cómo se llama Black Stallion?
Corce Negro. Corcel Negro. Old Yeller. There's a lot of movies like this where there's a hole that's created in the boy's life, and in a lot of movies, the buddy movies, there's the I don't like you, I don't like you, I don't care for you, I still don't like you. Boy, you did something that I understand. Boy, I understand you now. Now we're buddies. In the boy and dog story, it's a little different. It's I don't like you. I'm an animal. I still don't like you. I'm still just an animal. You're teaching me about the world. I'm still being what I am. I love you. And then like that whole idea is a little bit different. And so creating that whole, it's always, like we talked about it a lot about like what Arlo's whole will be. And then we talked a lot about in our lives loss and that concept. And so it wasn't trying to copy anything, but just honor what this very classic story of in E.T. there's no father. In Corcel Negro, he loses his father in the beginning. Even in Bambi, that coming of age story, he loses his mother. And it wasn't trying to copy any of that. It was something that I kept going into just because, why am I feeling this? Why does my gut keep going here about that? And it's a part of life that like still deserves to talk about in a way that my kids don't know all of those movies or anything like that, but trying to tell a story that is unique in its own way, but still try to find a new way to heal so that Arlo can move on and become a man. And then the second question was
Why humans pets?
Oh yes, it was in the beginning. It was just kind of a funny twist. What was cool and like okay, and everyone came up with ideas about like they could do this, they could do that. We went so down the line about like real human pets that we were like, this is really weird. Let's go away from that. I mean, we had like humans in cages and like it was so weird, but like. More than anything, like I really love this relationship with a dinosaur boy and then an animal that you and I all know is a human. And in the animating of it and the figuring out of the story, this is going to sound so sappy, but we found the humanity in it, if that makes sense. For example, in the first half of the film, when you meet Spot, he's an animal. He smells everything that he does. He's making animal decisions. He's not using his hands to go, what is this? It's all animal until Arlo connects to him about the loss of his family. Spot moves from that point into little shades of what humanity is. And so he lies down next to the sticks like a dog, and then he uses his nose to push them down, and then he gets up, and then Arlo understands what's going on. And then Spot does this little gesture, which is a very human thing to do. Animals don't do that. And then it blew us away that like, oh my goodness, this onion skinning of what it is to be human, Arlo is beginning to connect to, even though he's an animal. And then so there are little things like that would start to teach us. But this is where the child started telling us, I don't want to be a violinist, I want to be a football player. This is when the movie was like, okay, this is what the character is now telling us it wants to do. And so we would respect it and try to find that humanity inside this animal version of the human. And so at first it started off like kind of fun, but then it got into something very emotional for us.
Well, and going back, I think to your question sort of about the emotion, like that's a scene, like I remember we gradually took more and more of the dialogue out. Again, trying to make something feel authentic. Like, again, I know from my own experience, you know, when I lost my dad, it's hard to find the words. You know, everything starts sounding cliched or trite, and there's so much to me more emotion of just seeing him go up and pat him and comfort Arlo,
The empathy,
and the empathy, and just the simple line like, of course I miss him. I mean, what else can you really say without it just being a bunch of words that just sound like something you've heard before and kind of sound empty. And we kept taking more and more of those words out, which I think I just am so, for me, it was much more emotional.
Yeah, me too.